everyone. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good, because I'm losing my voice, so we're going to use this. It's so wonderful to be together, especially outdoors on a beautiful evening like this. I think the last 3 times we planned, it had rained, so I'm just saying thank you for nobody saying the mime dance, and we're doing great. And it's a wonderful time. I hope you read in tidbits. Today is the first of Elul. And Elul, we are told, is the time when God is closer to us than ever. God is figuratively in the field. And so wherever we turn to God, God is there waiting for us. And hopefully in this beautiful natural setting, we can explore a little bit more of our spiritual side and enjoy the beautiful music brought to us by Kyle Ginsberg. Hi, Kyle. And hopefully you'll be able to hear him love it. Kyle comes to us from Indianapolis?
Yeah, Westfield, Indiana. It's basically Indiana.
Well, Kyle is an extremely talented musician, and for those of you who have been to camp, know that he has been at Gucci for many summers as a song leader, so you may recognize some of the tunes. You may also not recognize some of the tunes, and that's supposed to be the case. So today is the first of Elul, and as I said, that means it's the month leading into the high holidays, and we're supposed to be thinking about the high holidays. So hopefully you notice that you have a brand new prayer book. Not only is it not the normal prayer book, but it's brand new to all of us. So hopefully I've got all the right page numbers and we'll all follow along together. But in it we'll have a couple of really good readings that will hopefully put us in the right frame of mind, as well as some melodies that are specific, like Psalm 27 that we do during this time period. And at the very end, we will have the blast of the shofar, because nothing makes you feel like the high holidays are coming quite like hearing the blast of the shofar. So we're going to begin on page 3 with Dodie Lee. to page 6. You may recognize this reading as I've used it in previous years, because I think it's a beautiful one. Please join with me. Before we slip too quickly into the season of the soul, let there be a Sabbath of Sabbaths for the heart. Before the music of creation's majesty, let there be a silent praise of existence. Before the feast of sanctified words, let there be a poetry of solitude. Before we enter the palaces of prayer, let us find within ourselves a place of calm. Before we revel in the wondrous and sublime, let there be an honest inward gaze. Before the rites and ceremonies of awe, let there be quieter days, an island of attentiveness. On page 8, we turn to Psalm 27, Kat Sha'alti, which is traditionally done during this time of Elul.
לחזות בנועם אדוני ולבקר בחייכלו לחזות בנועם אדוני to gaze upon the beauty of Adonai. One thing I ask you, Adonai, to be with you all of my life.
turn now to page 11. I honor the gift of stillness and rest, a day devoted to peace. Peace within my soul. On this day, I have everything I need. Please join with me. Peace with those around me. On this day, I seek no quarrel or strife. Peace of earth and sky, green trees and quiet water. I give thanks that I am present in this world. I celebrate the miracle of existence, the breath within me, the beating of my heart, the love that blesses my life. On page 10, we have our blessings for the candles. They may or may not light, but I'd like to invite Corinne to try. Please come forward. They don't light at the end. We can light them inside, and Corinne will do it for us. Sure, go ahead.
To God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Ya la 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 Adonai. For all of the wonder and all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Lehu niranena, ya la 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 la, Adonai, ya la la ya la la, Naria.
On page 21, in the middle of the page, we read together, "Two angels follow me home, Chesed and Gedorah, kindness and mercy, love and discipline may both dwell within me. Gentleness and generosity would expand my soul. Firmness and self-restraint, the strength to say no. On this day of Shalom, may I be Shalom, well balanced and whole. We continue on page 22 of the Shabbat.
לכלותי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. לכלותי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור, שמור וזכור בליבך, השמיענו אליך מיוחד, אדוני אחד. ושמו אחד, לשם תפארת ולתהילה. לכלותי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. לכלותי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, יהי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם משוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לכלותי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. לכלותי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, 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 כי בעורק ומאורי, אורי אורי, שיר דברי, יבוא אדוני על עת נגלה. Mike is falling. לכלותי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. לכלותי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עצרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובסוף עולם, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לכלותי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. לכלותי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה.
Rise as we turn to page 26.
La 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 la.
page 30, the Ahavato line.
That's okay.
I'm gonna be up hitting photos anyway.
Yeah, it's easy enough just to stand here with my foot on it.
Ve'ahavta is on the next page, page 30. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'kol levacha v'kol nafshecha v'kol me'odecha v'hayu advarim ha'eleh asher Anochi mitzadecha Hayom Avavecha, Vishinatam Nevanecha, Vivatam, Vishiftecha Bevetecha, Uvetecha Vateret, Vishoktecha Uvkunecha, Ushatam Leot Alidecha, Nahayutotavo Benenecha, Uvatatam, Amazuzopestecha,
Next page.
Kisperu, Pasitene, Komispotai, Vitempiroshin, Lelohente, Asher Tzeidim, Eretz Mitzrayim, Yot Lachem, Elohim, Ani, Adonai Elohechem.
Pray together in the middle of page 38. Truth and faith,
These are fundamentals of our existence.
God alone is their source, and we are Israel, the people of God. Our sovereign saves us from tyranny, and redeems us from its violence through countless wonders. For his brutality, many feats beyond measure. We are Israel, the people of God, the giver of life, would not let our feet get away, the maker of miracles for us against Pharaoh, of signs and portents in the land of Egypt, the one who brought our people Israel from its midst to enduring freedom. On page 40, we continue with Nephi.
Torah, Jami Asa Adonai Asa Adonai Et Hashamayim Bet Haaretz Umayom Hashvi'i Shabbat Vayinafash Veshamru B'nei Yisrael Et HaShabbat Asot Et HaShabbat L'Dorotam B'Torah Veshamru B'nei Yisrael Et HaShabbat.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our Amidah, page 48.
Thought has blown the marketplace away. There's a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day. And eternity utters a day. Hey, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la. It's blown the marketplace away. There's a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day. And eternity utters a day. Hey, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la. Adonai Svatai, Svatai, Ufi Yagitehi Latecha.
Eloheinu, 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 Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Gadol Hagibor Hanora, El Elyon, Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'yimachot, U'nevi Gula Livnei Mehem, L'man Shemo B'yavad, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Navi, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Yolam Adonai, Mechaye Akol HaTorah L'Hoshia, Mavit Hatah, Mechaye Akol Berachamim Rabim, Sonech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mikayem Emrato, B'Shemei Afar, B'Chamocha B'Gevurot, U'Mido Melech, Melech Mimid U'Mechayeh, U'Matzmeach Yeshua, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayei ha'akol. Kadosh v'shemcha kadosh, u'kadoshim v'kolu v'chalu v'shalach. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh.
You may be seated as we continue on page 61, towards the bottom. God breathed into us a living soul, the gifts of respiration, inspiration, aspiration. May we sanctify this day by breathing deeply, attentive to all gifts, to taste the sweetness of the world that could be. Baruch atah Adonai, Nekadesh Shabbat. Our praise to you, Eternal One, you bring holiness to Shabbat. Page 62. Eternal our God, your people Israel yearns for your favor. Receive their prayer with loving acceptance, and may you always desire your people's worship. Divine One, close to all who call upon you. Bring your grace and presence to those who serve you. Pour forth your spirit on us. It is not Rosh Chodesh, so we go to the middle of 64. Rosh Chodesh was yesterday. Eternal our God, remember us. Be mindful of us and redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. Favor us with words of deliverance and mercy. Show us the depth of your care. God, we await your redemption, for you reign with grace and compassion. And may our eyes see your merciful return to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato b'Zion. Blessed are you whose divine presence is felt again in Zion. We pray together on page 69. For the gifts I received today, air in my lungs, pulse in my veins, my restless mind, alive and curious, awakening suddenly to beauty, for love and the memory of love, forgiveness when I didn't deserve it, another chance at life. Let my soul give thanks to you. Let me not forget your kindness. Chatiman 68. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shikha L'chana et L'choto. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise. The next page.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasir Leolam. Shalom Rav al
one who blesses us with peace. I invite you to take a moment for private meditation using the words on 72 and 3 or wherever your heart desires.
Shalom Roma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Shalom Aleinu, Oseh Shalom B'Roma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Oseh Shalom B'Roma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael.
A chemistry teacher once opened the school year by saying that we all know, maybe, that the composition of air is roughly 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and about 1% carbon dioxide and other gases. You all knew that, right? But that it doesn't mean that in any relatively small unit of air, there is exactly those percentages there. It might happen that over one area, I don't know, on this side, there might be 22% oxygen and only 20% over there. We've got more oxygen to keep a hand on the surface than you all. Gotta try and do this without talking with my hands. And that makes sense. Things aren't always perfectly average. And the teacher went on to say, theoretically, keyword theoretically, all of the oxygen molecules could decide to go have a party in one corner of the room. It would be highly, highly unlikely, but they could. The numbers we use when talking about the air are averages and what it contains when everything is in perfect equilibrium. And curtailing students' panic attacks, the oxygen might actually go have a party in a corner of the classroom. That even if that were to happen, it wouldn't stay that way long enough to suffocate us. That the balance would be restored. Now, of course, he was just trying to get a bunch of teenagers to think that chemistry was cool and pay attention. But I want to play with that idea of our ability to push things out of balance and the natural need for them to come back into balance, into equilibrium. I could ask who here could say they haven't pushed themselves to the limit on at least one occasion, haven't stayed up too late, taken a race out too fast, or bit off more than they could chew. Society often tells us that to succeed, we must strive to be bigger, better, stronger, push our limits. And so we do. And perhaps we tell ourselves it's okay because on the weekend we'll catch up on sleep, or we'll eat a big dinner to make up for working through lunch. Perhaps we're so bad or so good at pushing our limits that we've even created an industry out of meditation and self-care apps to help us recenter when we've pushed ourselves too far, helping us to figure out how to balance work and life, to balance taking care of others and ourselves. And this idea of being out of whack with ourselves is in fact age-old. Our modern world perhaps exacerbates it, but Jewish tradition has known our need for balance and a spiritual self-checkup, well, since the beginning. For those of you who are familiar, there's a series of emails you can subscribe to and get in your inbox daily called Jewels of Elul. And this year's theme is, anyone want to venture a guess? Balance! And so Rabbi David Wolpe stated in his introduction to this year's collection, and I quote, "Each morning we ask ourselves in the daily prayers, what are we, what is our life? Those questions begin to restore us to ourselves, to the important spheres of our life, to embrace what matters and what endures. There's no perfect equilibrium. We rebalance every day." And to paraphrase his final sentence, this time of year helps us do just that. What are we and what is our life? Those questions begin, this was the sentence I liked, those questions begin to restore us to ourselves, to the important spheres of our life, and to embrace what matters and what endures. That sense of restoration gives us balance in our daily experience. Perhaps for those who utilize the daily liturgy, and hopefully in other ways and by other means for those who are perhaps less dutiful in our daily prayer. And with this sense of balance, I give you another image. Anybody watch The Office? Totally different direction. And I think of the prank in The Office where I believe it is Jim who continually puts a nickel into Dwight's phone over the course of time. And I'm seeing lots of smiles. Excellent, good reference. And it slowly gets heavier and heavier and heavier. And of course, eventually he empties the phone and Dwight smacks himself in the face, having become accustomed to lifting a heavier phone. PSA, do not try this at home. Do not try this at work. You can't really do it with smartphones. Do not do it to the office phones that still have, handsets. When we think about balance and pushing ourselves out of whack just a tad, like adding that nickel to the phone, it's easy not to self-correct, or because we're almost automatically correcting. Dwight, every time he picks up that phone, doesn't think about, this seems a little heavier today than yesterday or last week, or however. I don't actually watch The Office. I just know that clip. But it's that little bit more effort to pick it up, he doesn't notice. If our atmosphere, I told you it had about 21% oxygen, if it suddenly had 20.9, would we notice? Somebody says yes. We're going to pretend the answer is no. Not a chemist. And I'm using as proof that for mountain climbers, as they ascend and the pressure gets lower and whatnot, if you go slowly enough, you're fine. If you took a helicopter to the top of a tall mountain, you would be not fine. As akin to this idea of making these little changes of getting us off center that we don't even realize are happening. So we use this time of year to reset. We use Elul, which began with sunset yesterday, to assess, is our metaphorical phone getting heavier? Are the oxygen molecules having a party over in the corner? Do we need to reset? We go about our days and push our limits. Perhaps use a day off to catch up on sleep, or perhaps not. Our work-life balance is never actually in balance, always shifting just a little bit. Life is always a push and pull, and every day we get knocked out of whack. We get pushed into a corner. Things get a little heavier, but we know they can't stay there for long. I don't think I need to share an example of what happens when we don't let ourselves reset. I bet you can all imagine one of those on your own. So this time of year, secularly with back to school and religiously with Elul, let it be a forced reset. As we enter Rosh Hashanah, or Elul, and lead up to Rosh Hashanah, I heard a shofar sound for the first time of the season in Rabbi's office. Today, and many of you will probably hear a shofar for the first time in just a little bit. That is our reminder to wake up, our reminder of where we are in the calendar, to ask ourselves these questions about who and what we are, of where we have met our goals, of where we have missed the mark, to focus on the inner work from today through that shofar blast that ends Yom Kippur. And so going back to that jewel of Elul, I gave you a little bit from the introduction. There was a Sephardic Jewish studies professor that wrote today's. And he spoke of his village in southern Morocco as being a magnetic field for his life, that he travels to his village every year with his now second grade daughter. And he spoke of how her childhood curiosity questioned the absence of homeless people in the poor village in southern Morocco, in contrast to the affluent Los Angeles area where they currently reside. He says he told her that the desert nurtures community. We need each other. He goes on to speak of how the ethic of care in his home community serves as a compass to guide him in his current setting, like an oasis. I can imagine the safety and security of checking in with our own oases, the sources of our roots that strengthen us, to be a source that guides us. May Elul be that annual journey to your oasis, the call to return to your roots, the call to find balance, to return to the things that guide us. Our sunset as we entered Elul might not have felt so different than any other night, but we crossed a threshold into self-reflection, into self-restoration, into wondering what atoms of our life are having a party in the corner where they shouldn't be, the bigger things that make us hit a wall, that force us to come back, and to explore the things where we've set ourselves up from a prank that have slowly nudged out of whack without realizing, the walls we don't see coming. And within an accounting of where our balance lies, what's at the center that pulls us back. For you, is it the words of the liturgy, the call of the shofar, the beauty of the water fountains that at some point I think will go off, the sounds of nature, or even a person sitting next to you or something else? Whatever it is that calls you, may you find balance, wholeness, and peace this Elul and in this upcoming year. And as we think about balance, we also think about the very specific balance that maintaining our health requires within our bodies. This Shabbat, as a congregation, we pray for healing, especially for Levi Schrader, Ann Pullman, Bob Hughes, Patty Martin, James Weston, Isaac Stoller, Kazmira Cairo, Jeremy Watts, Mariah Strickland, Eileen Eady, David Woods, Charles Fay, Kim Howell, Eleanor Must, Catherine Cooper, Sid Gross, Cicely Nathan, Jim Locke, Gary Pacernick, Bob Kahn, and Steve Samuels. There are other names that ought be added to our prayer. I invite you to share them aloud or in your hearts.
Jim Plotkin.
Join together with the words of Misha Barak, which can be found in your prayer book on page 77.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, bless those in need of healing with refuah shema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
And with words of Torah in our midst, it is the third Shabbat of the month. So if there's anybody celebrating a birthday or anniversary or wedding or birthday today, Judy Heller, since I know it's today, I'm calling you out. I won't even ask you to do the Torah blessings. I'm just giving you chocolate and a blessing. Come on up. Or weddings. We're gonna need more chocolate. Pastoral emergency, we need more chocolate. Well, we acquire more chocolate inside so that it didn't all melt. It's a super, super sneaky spot. Just ask any religious school student. May the one who creates joy and fulfillment bless those who are up here today in celebration of a simcha in their lives. May they remain grateful, always aware of their blessings, alive to the wonder that has touched their souls. Let them be messengers of delight, bringing warm smiles and the glow of happiness to all they encounter. And may the love and good fortune they have known inspire them to share with others. Our hearts rejoice with our friends today. Give thanks to the Eternal, for God is good. God's love endures forever and ever. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Mazal tov. You may be seated. We will continue with Aleinu, and I will ask that you rise if you are able as we turn to page 78.
Aleinu l'shabeach Adon hakol, l'tet gedula yotzer bereshit, lo asanu k'goyei haratzot, lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kachem, v'kol ra'enu k'chol amanam, אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated.
Turn to page 85. Our thoughts turn to loved ones whom death has taken from us in recent days, and those who died at this season in years past. Our hearts open as well to the wider circles of loss in our community and wherever grief touches the human family. We are in a period of Shiva for Gary Goldflies, and we are observing the yahrzeits for Sid Kaplan, David Schumann, Bernard M. Frank, Ruth E. Froelich, Carmen Angel, Stephen Green, Emil A. Asher, Alan Rosen, David Slutzker, J. Edward Wasserman, Ben M. Harlan, Silly Kynes, Joseph E. Pataski, Louise Jean Friedman, Johanna Asher, Mildred Gilman, Rebecca Weil Rao, Lucy Dorsey, John Stephen Schwartzman, Rachel Levinson, Henry I. Gleiwitzer, Oscar L. Goldfarb, David Cohen, Jay Dinhofer, David L. Herman, Fanny K. Margolis, Mitch Quint, Esther B. Meadow, Suzanne Wilkinson, Boris Franklin Sokol, Leon R. Office, Bernard David, Nicole Monique Freelo, Norman Miller, Otto Farnbacher, Minnie Fishman, Robert Schmall, Walter Ullman, Harry Friedman, Maureen Burke, Hannah Shiner, and Jeanette Handler. If there are other names to be remembered or perhaps pronounced more correctly, I invite you to please call those forward as my hand goes around. I'd like to invite all who are in mourning or who are remembering to please rise first. And we as a community rise together to recite the sacred words of Kaddish, which may be found on page 86 in your prayer book. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shnei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alma divrach hiroteh v'yamlich malchuteh. Ve'chayechon v'yomechon. Uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. Ha'agala uv'zman kariv v'imru
Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam Olamei Almaya.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitma'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal. Shemei d'kudsha
Barichu.
Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tishvechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru
Amen.
Oseh shalom miromav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru
Amen.
Zichronam livracha, may their memories always and only be for a blessing among us. You may be seated. Please turn to page 89 with me. Amid shouts of joy, to the sound of shofar, the Holy One ascends. Let us ascend, as we hear the call of community, the voice of return. Let us ascend,
As we feel the pull and power of tradition.
Let us ascend toward forgiveness and peace of mind, toward heartfelt change and acts of repair. Let us ascend to the sound of shofar. Let us enter the gates of teshuvah. Reach deep into the sanctuary of the heart. Reach beyond to the infinite and eternal. Reach deep with every quiet breath. Reach beyond, summoned by the ancient ringing blast of the shofar. I'd like to invite Mariah forward and invite you to please rise as we turn to page 91. Baruch atah Adonai shomea teruah. Blessed are you, Adonai, who hears the sounding of the shofar. Tikiyah. Shivarim teruah. Tikiyah. And you may be seated. We'll conclude our service with those hopeful words that we can find on page 92 for Od Yavo Shalom. After this, we'll go inside for Kiddush, and we'll also have the opportunity to go out onto the patio for s'mores, so I hope you'll join us for that as well.
Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, Shalom. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kulam. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, Salam. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kulam. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kulam. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Kyle. If you've enjoyed the music, I can tell you that Kyle will be coming back. She invites her anytime the opportunity at the second part of the year after he gets back from the semester.
did a mitzvah.
I guess. It's the season to be doing them,
It
right?
sure is. Perfect place.
What do I do with my hands?
Great.
Thanks.
It was so cool.
Karen's back.
I made a soccer cap on the varsity team.
That's what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Okay, listen. I don't know. Looks like all these people are into that. Day. You know who's gonna run off and
Anna should be here.
It was doing it earlier. They did that at the beginning. I was very confused when I looked over. I thought it was glorious. And I'm not. All I saw was the water rippling. And I was like,
Here, some photocopies are just like, I can get him past it. Sure. They can use it for Midwest Missing Out, so too.
I'm sorry.
like, not all of it. So just, I think it's this. Like, I honestly think it's just because
Wait, yeah, I couldn't see it. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that's what
I didn't want to put my glasses on.
Well, that's an interesting angle that ended up on after it fell.